Hey everybody, it's Catherine. How you doing? I wanted to just jump on real quick and talk about something that I feel actually rather passionate about and something I redirect my energy to often when I feel like, okay, I'm not moving forward in the best way for me right now. It feels like stunted or staggered, or it feels like really clumsy or sluggish. I feel like I have to really motivate myself here. And when we go into those feelings of feeling like, okay, well, I'm not where I'm at. Okay, first of all, we're not present. We're focused either too much on the past or too much on the future. So you have to accept right now, this is where I'm at. Okay. But then we get to choose. We get to choose where we want to stay, what we want to do, what kind of energy we want to move into. But it's all about accepting yourself in the present. And once you do that, you realize, okay, well, how do I want to feel? What am I really, when I ask myself, okay, what am I really moving towards? Like, what is my motivation? What is my goal? What is my desire? What do I want it to feel like? Not necessarily what I want it to look like, because number one, it never ends up really looking like that. But number two, what do I want it to feel like? And how can I reach for the next best available emotion? And if I have a really hard time doing that, I start looking at something that helps me kind of dissect this whole process. And that is, am I practicing more consumption or more creativity in my life? And there's something that happens when you practice more consumption. That means like the acquiring of goods, the acquiring of things. What happens when we go into an energy of consumption is we are focused on external motivators, meaning, okay, well, what's going to make me appear this way to someone else, or will help me to appear this way to someone else? I'm outwardly projecting my energy based on maybe expectations. I'm trying to fulfill a role. I'm trying to fulfill something like that. And we have these external motivators that move us into a place of, okay, well, what do I need to bring in? What kind of things, something tangible, something physical, to have more than just my basic needs met, hopefully. But where are you focusing most of your time, attention, and energy on just those external motivators? Because you're plugged into a different, not only frame of mind, but a completely different energetic state, a different frequency. And when you are motivated by consumption, meaning the acquiring of goods, services, things, something tangible, you're not necessarily focused on your inner reality. You're kind of ignoring your inner reality. You may think you're focused on your inner reality, but it's really, you're in a place of ego. And when you're in a place of ego, I wish it was a quieter summer. So many planes, motorcycles, birds. That's okay. I still like to do these lives outside because it's so beautiful here in Tahoe. But when you're focused on something that is centered on an ego frequency, okay, you're centered on, yes, in a way, an internal reality, but it's a different kind of internal reality because it is motivated by a survival state consciousness. And when you are in that survival state consciousness, ego consciousness, you are shutting off your creative receptors. You are not accessing the utmost in terms of levels of creativity that are available to you. And one of the ways that we can start bridging the gap from being in 3D and moving to 5D, most of us are in 4D or even, kind of going in and out of 5D regularly. The ones that are accessing that frequency are the ones that are most creative just for the sake of it. Now, we often feel like we want to go into a more creative mode because we're working on a project. We're working on creating something that's tangible, that's real. Maybe it is something that serves us at work, something that can drive our status forward at work if we're working on a project. Maybe we have a team together and we have to be creative. And so when we go into creative mode a lot, we're doing it for the sake of something else. We're doing it to create something, to consume something, ultimately, to bring in something in our lives that serves us in a very tangible and physical way. This is kind of the wrong energy to go at it with. You want to be able to be creative for the sake of it. And those who are able to kind of go in and out of 5D frequency regularly are the ones who are being creative for the sake of it. So ask yourself, where am I practicing much more consumption than creativity? Because offsetting this balance can be the key to not only living a happier life, but it's also the thing that captivates your imagination. When we are living at a level in our everyday lives, and yes, this is possible to live at this level in our everyday lives, where we feel our imagination is captivated, meaning we are so drawn into our internal world that literally time stops. We stop paying attention to the body. We stop paying attention to the external environment. This is that kind of sweet, non-linear, non-local spot that's known as 5D, okay, in a manner of speaking. But it's the closest we can get to this frequency right here. And creativity is your inroad to that. Now, what I love to do, I'm a passage creator. So if you've ever had your soul language read by Jennifer Horacio, you know her modality, soul language, I'm a passage creator. So that means I might talk about like nebulous or esoteric concepts, but I'm always going to provide some sort of an inroad, some sort of an access route for not only myself, but for the people that I work with to get to that place that I'm talking about that might seem like just like some lofty concept or grand ideal. My drive to do the work that I do is to always find those access routes, to be a passage creator. I love it. That's me being an alchemist. That's me taking something that just exists in this kind of ethereal, kind of barely sketched out concept and then making it real. That's what I love to do. That's who I am. That's one of my gifts that I share. And so the only way for me to move into that energy and to access that level of creativity is to just go ahead and be creative for the sake of it. So I will do any number of things. I might organize pine needles in my backyard and make a tiny fort. I might collect all of my crystals together, wash them and clean them, and then put them together in new grids. And not because I'm trying to create abundance or prosperity, just to do it, because they look pretty together. I might just sit down and doodle. I love doing Chinese brush painting, and I just sit down and do it just for the sake of it. So those of you who might be thinking, oh, well, that sounds great, but I don't have time to do that. That is your limitation of ego talking. And if you don't understand the importance of being able to just unplug and go into your inner reality and connect with that high field of intelligence, which you always do when you're accessing your creativity just for the sake of it. If you don't see the importance of that, then good luck staying in 3D. I mean, I hope you like it there. Hi, ladies. I can't see all the comments. Pamela, hi. Janine, hi. But if you want to be able to, and you're really interested in, being able to kind of move through, kind of glide through with some grace and some flow through that 5D experience and kind of go in and out of that, accessing your innate creativity just for the sake of it, without an end game, you will be able to understand what it's like to move into that non-local, non-linear space. And when you are in that space, what you are doing is you are captivating your imagination. So you are no longer tethered to an imagination that is only in the frequency of 3D. You are accessing your imagination as it exists in 5D. So things that you couldn't even begin to imagine or conceptualize before start to seem real. Ideas start to seem like, oh, okay, well, not only am I coming up with this idea of what something could be, I'm coming up with the next step. That's captivating your imagination. Is not only when you can imagine something and just see it and feel it, better yet, feel it, but you can imagine the next step. That's captivating your imagination, and that's possible for you when you are practicing less consumption and more creativity. And not only creativity, but going into an innate creative state of being without an end game, without a means to an end. Now, because of what we're talking about here, you maybe want to access that non-local, non-linear part of you that captivates your imagination, which gives you like the next step in whatever idea you can conceptualize. So that maybe is an end game, yes. However, If you go into it without any kind of a feeling of, I desire this outcome, if you can detach yourself from any kind of predictable outcome, you will untether your imagination from 3D and you will captivate your imagination in 5D. This is a fun thing to play with. People are always asking me, well, I mean, you talk about 5D, but how do you do it? How do you do it? I'm telling you, this is how you do it. So play with it. In this time that we have, we're on the cusp of Neptune retrograde. So we're working with a lot of watery, emotional energies. Neptune retrograde is in Pisces. This is a lot of watery energy, a lot of emotional energy, a lot of fluid energy. It couldn't be a better time to play with something like this, something that sounds kind of conceptual, but then play with it and see what can come up for you. See what it might yield. And not for the sake of you are predicting an outcome, but for the sake of, I just have this childlike sense of wonder and I want to see what's going to happen. Go into that innocence, go into that playfulness. And then, just delight in the unpredictable outcomes that show up for you. So I invite you to play with this energy. See what's coming up. I know a lot of you are feeling really emotional right now. This is an even better way to work with your emotions and kind of give them a passageway to take the energy of what's being created with maybe even some unwanted emotions and channel them, siphon them off into something that is a creative endeavor that kind of can drive your imagination forward and captivate you in delightfully surprising ways. So have fun with this, people. Bye-bye. Much love and peace.